Welcome to the first in a series of videos describing the proper way to study, practice scales like a musician, not like a computer. And so let's begin with the basics. Let's just talk about musical literacy. And what does that mean? Well, musical literacy means the same thing as literacy means in our everyday language, right? It's the ability to read and write, but more than that, the ability to read and write and comprehend what we're reading and writing, right? So, to that end, let's talk about that in the context of an example. I've chosen a B-flat major scale. Now, most people are familiar. It's like, hey, yeah, it's B-flat major scale. It's got some letter names of notes, right? Most people are like, yeah, I can do this. B-flat, C, D, E-flat, F, G, A, and B-flat. Unfortunately, a lot of people just stop there. And what this lesson is about is like going to the next level. Instead of just thinking about scales in terms of the arbitrary alphabetical letter names of the notes, we're going to elevate our understanding by including a functional in our mind and functional in our ears understanding of each of these notes in the scale, right? So, with that in mind, there are at least 4 things we need to be able to understand about a scale, in this case a B-flat major scale. One of those things is the key signature, because this is just going to help us read the notes on the staff. The other one we already talked about is the letter names of the notes, by the way, which are totally arbitrary names, right? We've talked about this in other videos. But now we're going to add a couple other things. We're going to add some functional descriptions to the notes in the scale, realizing a few things. One is the root of the scale, in this case B-flat, establishes the key center, right? And by the way, the name for the key center in number land is 1, and the name for the key center in solfege land is do. And relative to that key center, do or 1, all these other notes in the scale have a unique sound and therefore a unique function. And why is that important? Well, it's important for this fundamental reason, is that when you start to read music now and write music, instead of just thinking about the notes in insular, isolated, non-functional terms, you're going to start to think about each of these notes as having a function in a particular key. And so, what are the payoffs of doing this? Well, I got my glasses out because I want to read this and not miss any. One, it's going to help you sight read. Because instead of looking at music as just a bunch of arbitrary black dots on a page, you're going to start to look at those dots on a page as functional entities, right? That have a certain sound and purpose in a key center. Likewise, that's going to facilitate your oral comprehension, right? You're not just going to be translating dots on a page to physical motion without understanding what you're playing and listening to. It's going to help you memorize, because now your intellectual and oral processing of what you're playing is going to go beyond just the arbitrary letter names. It's going to go to that functional realm, that whole nother plateau of musical understanding. Whether you use the number system and or the solfege system, it's going to help you play by ear. Right? You're going to start to hear things, and if you study these scales the right way, like a musician, you're going to start listening to recordings, you're going to start to listen to other people and go, oh wait, I hear, that's so, that's la, that's re, that's do, right? Promise, you're going to start hearing these things. The other thing, it's going to make transposition dirt simple. And I encourage you, I have a video out on this already about how to transpose melodies like a musician, not like a computer. And finally, it's going to really open your musical mind and your intellectually and also orally, hearing-wise, and start opening doors for you in your forays into improvisation. So, what are the skills you would like to have, given this, functional view of in this case, a B-flat major scale? Well, in order to illustrate that, let me just give you a little quiz, a 5-question quiz. And say, okay, given this, just say, what is the key signature of B-flat major? And you should be able to answer. It's 2 flats, B-flat and E-flat. Another question you might ask, what is La in the key of B-flat major? Well, let's see, La in the key of B-flat major, that's the 6th, and it's the letter G. Cool. What is the scale degree? Another question, what is the scale degree of A in the key of B-flat major? Well, the scale degree is 7. Question 4, what note is scale degree 3 in the key of B-flat major? The answer is D. And question number 5, what is the sound name of E-flat in the key of B-flat major? It's Fa, right? So we should be able to mix and match and go any direction. We should go from key signature to names of the notes to solfege syllables to scale degrees, any which direction. Given any one of these, we should be able to name all the others, right? So, with that in mind, I just want to leave you with a couple of things. One is, I've got an enormous amount of material on the website where you're going to get endless practice in these naming, and especially the functional naming conventions, an enormous amount of practice when it comes to ear training. But I encourage you to do a few things. One is, also go out, there's a whole bunch of killer apps there for smartphones that'll give you a lot of practice on this kind of stuff. I'm not trying to compete with those guys. I'm just trying to present the background, so when you're doing those practices, whether it's in the form of flashcards or whatever form they come in, you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? So go get them. Another video is coming soon where we're going to go to the piano and go broader and deeper into the whole subject of how to study practice scales like a musician.